Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And we got episode 86 today. Ron, what do you got?
It's the trash episode, or it's the pineapple pizza episode, because you 86 it and throw it out.
I'm going to go with Stanley Morgan, Stanley Steamer, at number 86 for this
Hines
episode.
Ward.
Oh, you can go Hines Ward as well. A couple good receivers in the NFL.
There are no other kinds as Hines, let's say.
Hey, speaking of trash, the wind is whipping around here today. Still, yeah, we've had like a solid 6 weeks of like wind just about every day. And I'm hearing this banging, like this metal banging going on outside, right? I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I go outside, and I forgot that my neighbor across the street bought an old metal garbage pan or garbage whatever trash can, and I remember when I forgot that she bought it, because when she bought it and put it out and she put the lid on, I was like, whoa, what's Oscar the Grouch doing over there? Because it looked just like an Oscar the Grouch trash can over there, but that's now rolling down my street, making all kinds of, it sounds like someone's out there banging on it, because it's just rolling down the street. I don't think she's home yet, and I was gonna go out and grab it for her, but it started going down the street even further. I'm like, well, it's going the wrong way.
It's going to be the hood ornament in somebody's SUV tonight.
Yeah, if that was coming this way, I would have got it. But it started going the other way. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to have someone else over there get it.
Did you know that in the first year of Sesame Street, the Oscar the Grouch was orange?
No.
Yes.
Wow.
If you Google original pictures of Oscar the Grouch, he's not green. He's orange.
Wow. That round of applause for you bringing that out.
There we go. It's the useless stuff that I just kind of pack away that I never know.
And that's why you're here, because you bring out all kinds of useless and nonsensical information that we can use on a daily basis.
That's right. Such as 86ing that pineapple pizza.
All right. So episode 86, we're back. I think we had back-to-back interviews, didn't we?
I think it's the first time we've done back-to-back interviews. Or thanks to Ian and Rich for their insights and their games. And yeah.
Boy, and we still got more coming up too. We still have a lot of interviews coming up, and a lot of people are asking for interviews. Yeah, so we got a whole list of people that are going to be coming up this year on the show. So we're happy about that.
Absolutely.
So anyway, episode 86. Oh, ways to get a hold of us. Let me get my notes right here so we can talk about that. So ways to get a hold of us are, the website is digitaltodice.com. That's where you park all the podcasts over on Spreaker. The text line, 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. Send us a text, say hi. The email is digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And over on Facebook, it's facebook.com/groups/digital2dice. And if you like some cool gear, we have a little store up on Cafe Press, which is cafepress.com/digital2dice. If you'd like to pick up a mouse pad or a coffee mug or anything like that to help support the show, it's over there on Cafe Press. So episode 86. So let's get into what we're playing here before we get into the meeting. Oh, what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about computer game simming in general. We've talked about different versions of, different things of it. But today, just kind of, there may be people who've never played a computer sim before. So we're going to get into that and all the things that you can do and some of the things that we like, and, and ask you guys some questions too.
Okay. All right, cool. So, so we'll talk about computer gaming today on the show. But first off, let's get to what we're playing.
Shall we say this is formally presented by the Appa Hockey Foundation of Marietta, Georgia? Because that's pretty much what you've played the last.
Oh, no, I played a lot more than that. See, that's what
I know you have.
But yes, no, I've... so, all right, I'll go first. I was going to have you go first, but since you threw it back on me, since you deferred...
I deferred.
You deferred. I was actually watching Robert, RJ518, play Whoa Nelly. He was playing Whoa Nelly.
I was watching something.
And he was talking about, I don't think you're allowed to defer in college football. He said something about that, about deferring in college football.
Actually, you could always defer in college. It was the NFL that you could only
Oh, maybe.
Couldn't defer.
Oh, I'm not sure what it was, but he was playing Whoa Nelly, and I was watching him play that, and there was a conversation about deferring in there and the whole bit. Or maybe it was in the rules that you could. I don't know what it was, but we were talking about deferring when he was playing that. Oh, anyway, so along with a healthy dose of Apple Hockey, and I got a few more videos up of some gameplay of Apple Hockey. In fact, I think I played a couple of full games up on my YouTube channel of Apple Hockey. I got a new setup here in Studio B that I use that's pretty good with the overhead camera, and it seems to work out pretty well. Although it doesn't matter how many lights I put on, I still can't get it as bright as ID, but I try. It's still still feel good.
It helps to live in an area where the sun pops out more than once a week.
Yeah, it does. But so a lot of Apple Hockey. I've been really enjoying that. I picked up a couple of older seasons. I picked up 60-61 and 66-67 because they're only $20, at least right now before the prices go up. So I grabbed a couple of those seasons there to have those on hand to play some original 6 matchups. Along with Apple Hockey, I'm still playing more of my Shootout Hockey 70-71 full season replay. I finished October. I'm now into November on that. I slowed down a little bit on that because I've been playing a lot of these other games, like more specifically Apple Hockey, but the other ones I'm talking about I've been playing too. So I haven't got to as much Shootout as I was. I was playing 2 or 3 games a day, and now I'm.
But you'll find that. You'll find that it'll run really hot, and then I'll get to it next week. And
yeah, I'm in no hurry. Yeah,
might be a week where you play 3 games, and then you get scratch that itch again, and you might spend it playing it for 4 or 5 hours on a day.
That's a nice game. Like sometimes I come down here at night, and while someone is streaming a game or something on YouTube, I'll put that on in the background, and I'll play Shootout. I'll play a few games. That's my chill out game that I could just kind of relax and play and not get too serious about. I started OOTP Baseball. I started a fictional league in OOT Baseball.
Yeah, you made me hungry. I don't eat enough breakfast as it is, but the omelets and the hash browns. Yeah,
I created 8 fictional teams with all fictional players and just let the computer, randomly assign the players.
Have I pitched yet?
No, not yet. So I created you, or I renamed my best pitcher, Mr. Juckett, and you are my top dog relief pitcher on the Hartford Hash Browns. So I have 8 teams in the league. And what's neat about OOTP is the ballpark creator, which I've never used before. And so I created one team has a major league park, and all the other ones have minor league parks. So they're a little smaller. And I did some really cool designs, like especially with the outfield.
You really
and
did.
Stuff.
That was quite cool.
There's a couple of them that have these huge right fields like Tiger Stadium, and left field's a cornfield. And there's other ones that just have a big stands in center field, and the rest is like buildings and trains. And it was really fun to create the stadiums for all 8 teams, and I had a little theme for everybody I did, so that was really fun. So I got the 8 teams. I think I got like the Oakland Omelets and the Boston Bacon and the Cincinnati Sausages. I did 8 teams, all breakfast teams, and I even went onto the OOTP forums, and somebody had like a 5,000 logo pack. And again, some of them, I don't know how many he created, how many were just logos that were kicking around on the internet, but just for fun, I'm not making money at that thing at all. So I just downloaded some of them, and I found like a pig for the Boston Bacon, and a really cool O for the Oakland Omelets, and I think I have I forget what some of the other teams are, but I found like either letter logos or something that looked really cool for the team logo and all those things there. So having some fun in OTP. Although the Hash Browns went up 1-0 in the first inning and got smoked 12-3 at home in their home opener.
Fried.
We got fried. The Hash Browns were burnt on that one. They lost to the Greenville Grits. The Greenville Grits just lit us up in the 4th and 5th inning. So,
have you ever had grits?
I have. They're okay.
1,000 years ago, they weren't cheesy grits. I know that's how people like to do them. It was more of throw some brown sugar on it and butter on it.
Yeah, it's just a potatoey thing. I'm not fond of them. I mean, they're not horrible, but I'm not big on them. But anyway, so we lost to the grits. So I played some OOTP, fictional baseball, and I picked up Solitaire Pro Football.
You're liking that.
I do. And you have to email Mike, and I'll have to get his email in 1 second while I'm talking here. But I picked up the 1981 season, and boy, that's a fun game. It really is. Let me get you.
You like it, yeah.
Yeah. So his if you want to check it out, you have to email him. This is old school. You have to email him for the price list, and he'll email it to you. Then you just PayPal him and tell him what you ordered, and he'll get it to you. It's a lot like Shootout Hockey, where you just got to email the guy. It's Mike SPF. So Mike Solitaire Pro Football. Mike SPF at hotmail.com is how
Hotmail.
Yeah, Hotmail. Yeah, I still use Hotmail. I have Hotmail on some of my stuff. But anyway, email him for a price list of the game. I think I bought I know I bought the 81 season, and it came with the season and all the game parts and the whole bit. So I basically bought the game and a season for $20.50.
Great price.
Can't beat it. The season itself was $11. So just give you an idea on what you're looking at for cost if you just wanted to buy the game. But I suggest if you don't have the game, buy the game with a season, and then if you want to buy extra seasons, and the seasons are like I said, $10, $11, $12 for the seasons. Boy, I was very impressed with what you get for this game. So I got the 81 season so I could play the Freezer Bowl, Cincinnati, San Diego, and then also the Catch, Dallas, San Francisco. And then what I was going to do is I was going to play those two games, and then I'll play out the winner for the Super Bowl. Why not? You know what I mean? If I'm going to play it, I'm going to play it. It's a play-by-play game, so it's going to take you an hour or so to play this game.
It's a fast action driven game.
Yeah, it's a fast action card driven game. Very, very similar to fast action football, and I've talked about fast action football quite a bit on this channel. It was really my preferred play-by-play football game. But I would get tripped up with fast action football because there was so many flips of the cards, and you try to figure out what box you're reading from and the whole bit. I feel Solitaire Pro Football plays a little easier than fast action football and goes a little deeper. It does a few things that fast action football doesn't do, like the pass rush and the quarterback scrambling and a few things that I really did like about this game here. That fast action football didn't hit. And I'm not knocking fast action football because that still is my number one play-by-play football game, but that's by Downey Games, by the way. But Solitaire Football was great. The 81 season comes with 154 pages. That's pretty impressive.
That's a lot. Okay, but you get
before anybody says, "Oh, no," you don't get to print out 154 pages. Okay, you don't have to print it out. What it comes with is each team has a page, so it's like a team chart page, and that lists all the skilled players and everything that you would need to play the game. So if you just wanted to print out two teams, you print out two teams. But what it does come with, it comes with standings for that season. It comes with a full schedule for that season. So you don't need to go to the internet for anything. It's all right there. So if you want to print it out and put it in a folder, I'll have 1981 in a folder, with everything I need. It also comes with pre-filled out score sheets, which is huge for me. So in other words, when I played my game the other day, so I actually played the Freezer Bowl. So I played San Diego, Cincinnati.
Team won, but yes.
Yeah, I already had the San Diego score sheet filled out with the quarterback, the running backs, and the receivers all laid out with their skill numbers on it. So in other words, when you go to set up a game, cards and dice, especially with baseball, you put in the lineup and then you put in all their attributes so you can just kind of refer to that instead of pulling out their card every time. That's kind of what this was here, is that you had their ratings, their rankings, their numbers, their break.
So not only do you get the 28 pages of roster sheets, but you get 28 pre-filled
game sheets. And not only that, there's two different ones in there. So you get one done this way and one done the other way. And some of them are front and back. So like one side will be the offensive players and then the drive-by-drives. There'll be lines for the drive-by-drives, play-by-play actually. Tell you, okay, it's first and 10 on the 20, and I'm doing a run, and I hand it off to Chuck Muncie, and he gained 5 yards. So then the next lines is 2nd and 5 from the 25.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you can record every single play on the drive because it's a play-by-play game. On the back of that, it's your kick returns, your punt returns, your kickers. So I mean, if Rolf Benirschke kicked 4 field goals, so I just put a check mark so I knew how long the field goals were. This other guy returned 2 kicks for 20 yards on the first one and 19 yards on the next. So you can keep every single stat in the game that you want with the score sheet. So, and they're all pre-filled out. So you don't got to take a blank score sheet and write down anybody's name and anybody's ratings. They're all in it. Now, let me be clear. Not every season does this. Okay, and I'm going to do a video, and I talked about that in some of the videos I did on my YouTube channel. And I will do a video on that because Mike actually sent me over one of each season in the 3 categories, because there's the old seasons that have never been updated, which are basically just the team files. There's nothing else, just a team file. And then the second tier is stuff that's been updated that has some score sheets and a few things. And then there's the third tier, which gives you everything that I was talking about in my videos, where you get
There's
the
no
score
dice in this, right? It's all fast.
It's all fast action. It's no print either, so you do have to print and cut the fast action cards. I think there's 100 of them, and you can order extra sets of fast action cards, and they're supposed to be all different too. So if you ordered a second set, it would be different than the first. I don't know how they do that, but they do. But the fast action that I have it was pretty thick. It's a decent sized fast action deck. And I would just shuffle after every couple of drives and to keep it going. And what's neat about it, I guess they updated these fast action cards. So instead of having a single number on the card, the new fast action cards actually have 5 numbers on the card, if you follow. So if you're looking for a number, you flip in. So if you wanted to use the top one for the first quarter, great. Then the next time around, you use the second number for the second quarter, great. So that's what I was doing. The first quarter, I used the top number. Second quarter, I used the second number. So that way there, even if you drew the same card, you were getting a different number, if you follow that. So that was kind of a unique way around fast action card burnout, if you will, So, so it's all fast action card driven. Sometimes it's just a couple of flips to decide to play. And other times, like I said, you do get on a small rabbit hole, especially on fumbles and interceptions and things like that. Really fun. Really fun. I find it fairly simple to play, but again, there's a few little wrinkles that I'm still working out as far as, okay, when this happens, what's the steps for that?
But you really haven't been that tripped up by it. We've talked when you've tried other games.
I didn't get stuck. I haven't been stuck. There's been a couple times I've had to go to the rules. In fact, I had one play that I actually emailed them on, and I said, okay, and it was right in the middle of the freezer bowl. It's the end of the first half. San Diego's driving. They got the ball in the Cincinnati 23. I complete a 40-yard pass to, I think it was Charlie Joyner, right? Charlie Joyner catches a pass for 40 yards from the 23, and I get a fumble check. So it's a touchdown. However, there's a fumble. So what do I do? So I emailed Mike. Mike get back and he says, what you do on a pass, treat it as incomplete. And I said, okay, well, that would make sense, because so if I threw it into the end zone, okay, you can't throw it, we're not going to go beyond the end zone 40 yards, so you can only go 23 yards. But just picture, picture him catching it in the end zone and then taking a hit and jarring the ball loose and causing the fumble. So that's what he suggested to do. And then I asked him, what about a run? He said, well, on a run, if you got
you could fumble on a run, yeah.
But what he said is if you get a 40-yard run and you're at the 23, he goes, just call that a touchdown, because you ran into the end zone. If you come up short of the end zone, then you check for the fumble. But he said once you pass, once you get into the end zone, you're not going to fumble it, because it's an automatic touchdown. So
see, that's interesting, because I would have played the touchdown pass as a touchdown, because once you cross the plane.
But again, if you threw the
I
pass
can see
into the end zone and there was a fumble, you know what I suppose you could do? I suppose you could have some kind of a video review and roll the dice and try to determine, if he caught it or not. Something like that. So, I mean, there's many ways you can do it.
There's no wrong way to play it.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to play that. Because again, and that's another topic we're going to have in Cards and Dice is, when it doesn't make sense is going to be one of the topics we're going to talk about. It's like, what do you do when something comes up that's just really clank? And it's going to happen in Cards and Dice. It just, because it's all pre-made plays that happen out. And sometimes things happen that, wow, this would never happen. Or what do I do in this case? So that's what he suggested to do, is call that an incomplete pass. But if it was a run, then he runs into the end zone. If he fumbles in the end zone, so be it. But again, I like you were saying, you could call it as a, you could call it as a touchdown.
As long as it's complete, yeah.
As long as it's complete, it's a touchdown. But again, I kind of like that, whereas you get hit and he fumbled the ball and didn't have it. And again, if you wanted to roll the dice or flip the fast action card, say, look, we're going to review it, and 1 to 25, it's a catch, and 26 to 50, it's no catch. You could have done that. Again, it's your game. Make it your game. Make it as fun as you want. I think going forward, I might actually do that. Now that I think about it, I might go to the video review and flip the card and give it a 50-50 chance, or maybe a little bit more for the home team, a little bit less for the visitor team.
People would have instant replay in 1981. Okay, you do that.
Oh, maybe the officials talk about it.
Yeah, whatever. No, but I could. But again, 3 plausible scenarios and how you would resolve that play.
Yeah. So I mean, and there's, like I said, there's no wrong way because it's your game and you want it to be fun. But he got right back to me and cleared that up, so that was kind of good. And then there was somebody on YouTube that asked, well, what about a run? I was like, that's a good question there. Yeah. So the run would make more sense to have the touchdown rather than be a fumble, especially if you ran, 40 yards from the 23. That if you ran 23 yards, you could fumble at the goal line or something. But what's really fun about that game is it does a few things, Ron. One of them was if it's third down and you fall a yard short of a first down, you get a measurement. And
I like that. You were telling me about this.
That is I've never seen that. And I had to read the directions a few times. Like, I'm not believing this. If you end up with a 4th and 1, okay, so on third down you fall a yard short, you get a measurement. And each team has a home in a way, offense and a defense. So in other words, if it's a run play, you look at the team the offense that ran it, they have a number. You look at the defense's run, and then you compare the two. And if you flip the card and it falls in between, so let's just say the offense was a 15, the defense was a 25. If it falls between that, the measurement is first down. If it falls outside of that, then it's not a first down.
Right.
And I talked to you about this, and I was like, I love that, but at the same time, I don't want to turn every 3rd and 1 into a first down because
that sounds like that's something that you need to have a house rule for once a half.
But when I played the Freezer Bowl, it only happened one time. And I had to catch myself too. It's one of those. This is one of those special rules that if it's 4th and 1, you can get the measurement. And when I did the measurement, they didn't get it.
Oh,
yeah. So I was like, okay, now I don't feel so bad. And again, if this would have happened 5 or 6 times during a game, and then you kept getting it. I mean, I suppose it could happen, but if it happened a lot, I would probably have some kind of some kind of a house rule that's okay. Maybe you got to flip twice and get it twice in a row. Or
I like that one too. Yeah,
whatever. So there's a measurement for first down. That is really kind of fun in that game, and it's also got a pass rush scenario, which is neat. Whereas if you go on a pass and you flip the pass rush, you first check to see if the quarterback's sacked. If he's not, then he escapes, and then you see if he's going to run or if he's going to stop and pass. And in my game, Cincinnati rush Dan Fouts. Fouts slipped away. He did not run. He stopped and he fired and he completed a pass. And I could visualize the whole thing in my head, and it was truly fun. It really was. It was truly fun. The final score of the Freezer Bowl?
The wrong team won. That's all we need to say.
32-10 San Diego. They were not stopped even once. They scored on every drive.
They were fantastic offense.
Chuck Muncie just kept running, and Fouts kept passing, and they never punted. They scored on every single drive. I think they got 3 or 4 field goals and 3 touchdowns, and they missed an extra point. So how that adds up to 32. You're saying
that Ralph Pernushka actually was successful.
He missed an extra point, but he hit 3 or 4 field goals.
So he hit bankrupt once, and
So he hit 4 field goals, because if I got 3 touchdowns and missed an extra point and 4 field goals, that'd be 32. So and they were all short. They were all 27, 28 yards. The numbers though, I kept full stats in the game, and Fouts and Ken Anderson, their stats are almost identical, except Fouts had a 1 touchdown pass and 2 touchdown runs. So I had Fouts carry it on a sneak down near the goal line. He'd get in twice.
An entire career right there.
Yeah, it was. But
Danny was not the most mobile quarterback in the world.
It was still fun. Yeah. And Anderson had a pick, and he was sacked like 3 times, so it just didn't go well. Cincinnati also had 2 fumbles and San Diego blocked the punt. I mean, I had everything this game. I had the first down measurement. I had a block punt. I had an onside kick. Cincinnati scored late and got the onside kick. So,
wow.
Yeah, so I kind of had all kinds of crazy things happen in this game. It was so much fun. My first game, it was so much fun. And so San Diego wins that one out 32-10. So next up is Dallas San Fran. I'm going to play the catch game. I think I'm going to play this one. I'm going to try not to keep stats. All right, and I want to see how long it takes, because I was writing down everything. I mean, the one punt return I had, I wrote that down. Every kickoff return, every run that we had. So I was adding up, the runners, and it got to be a lot. It really did. In fact, sometimes
be surprised if Dallas wins that game. By the way,
yeah, I probably won't. I think I did play that in Fast Action Football, and San Fran won. So it'll be interesting to see how it happens.
San Francisco should win, but it took the catch to beat Dallas.
Yeah.
That was the second year in a row of Dallas being like 3 or 4 straight NFC Championship games and not winning.
I think didn't they have like a key fumble or something in that game in the fourth quarter that led to the drive?
I just say whoever had it last. They both that actually was a pretty sloppy game on both sides.
Yeah. So I'll play that one out there, then I'll play the Super Bowl in a whole bit. And I did a few videos talking about the game, and I'll get some full gameplay videos up soon on my channel there. But yeah, Solitaire Pro Football. I looked at this. Oh, geez, before we even started the show, I think I looked at this game, and for some reason I didn't pull the trigger on it, and I kind of had my eye on it for a long time, as you can tell, and I finally got it. Like I say, I ordered it at midnight, and next morning Mike had sent me the files, and I started playing. It's like, wow, this game flows. This game, for a fast action football play-by-play game, this game flows. It's fun. It's just deep enough without being too deep, and it's just complex enough of being too complex. And again, after one game, I think I almost have everything. I still got a couple of notes of things that I was working on. Like there's like a breakaway chart that I'm still a little confused on the breakaway chart as far as breaking away a big gain.
Right.
Even that's fun because you'll do a regular run. You'll say, okay, here's a run, and you check it out, and you flip the run card, and it's a breakaway, and you're like, oh, he has a seam, and then you flip the next card, and it's do the breakaway check to see if you got the big run, and you didn't get it. It's like, oh, the seam closed, and you only get 2 yards.
Yeah. Oh, there's the hole. Oh, it's Ron.
Yeah.
5.
Oh. You really can in this game visualize everything that's going on.
And that's big.
And that is huge for me because I'm sitting there playing this game and I'm just like, Fouts is back to pass. Uh-oh, he's flushed out. Here comes the pass rush because I flipped over a pass rush. Can Cincinnati get him? No, he gets away. Is he going to run? No, he stops and fires. Oh, he completes it to Kellen Winslow. I mean, I visualized everything in this game. It's really fun. So, so that's what I've been playing. As you can tell, I've been having a lot of fun going back and playing some of these games. The only thing that stinks about Solitaire Pro Football is it took me away from Apple Hockey.
You'll juggle it.
I will. So I get some really fun things going on for what I've been playing. So anyways, all right. So Ron, what have you been doing?
Well, we're out of time for that since it took the first half hour of the show just to go through what you were playing. No.
Look at his face.
Look at him.
I'm making a face. You can't see the face, but I'm making a face.
Yeah, I can see the face, Calvin. I can see the face. Let's see. Action PC Baseball Replay 49 continues. The Yankees are now in full romp mode. They've printed World Series tickets in the Bronx already. They have a 9.5 game lead as we start August.
How was that? Was it Wash? How was that team that was overachieving? I keep asking you about that.
They've come back down to earth.
Oh, have they?
They're now, as of yesterday, below 500.
They're falling like a.
They made a whole bunch of trades, and they were just terrible the second half of the season. But they have, with 2 months to go, beat their real life win total. They're at 52, and they only won 50. So they were 52 and 53. And there's a chance they win 70 games, which would be an amazing overachievement. The Red Sox finally are now in third place behind Cleveland, but that's kind of like being the third place horse in the 73 Belmont.
Okay. Didn't you say that the Red Sox overachieved that year? No. I thought you did. I thought you said that the Red Sox were played like all the way to the end and they lost at the end to blow it. They went. Well,
they were really good in the late 40s.
Okay.
And because there was no divisions, only one the league champion won. So they took the Yankees down the last week of the season. And if the Yankees are going to have a pennant race here, they need to lose. But the National League is pretty tight. St. Louis is a game and a half up over Brooklyn. And I believe even fifth place in the NL of the 8 is over 500. So some interesting stuff coming down the stretch, but not kind of what I was looking for as far as, I'd like to do a baseball replay where the Red Sox are moderately competitive instead of to go, oh, well, that was nice that we won't feature that team again after the 1st of March or the 1st of April or May. Yeah, maybe them and the Browns. I picked up my Strat 75-76 Islanders replay because someone got playing Apple hockey and got me in the mood to be playing hockey again. And they're a delightfully frustrating team because they're young.
You told me that they lost to tied a couple of bad teams.
Oh my gosh! Well, we tied Kansas City opening night.
I played Kansas City opening night 74-75. That was their expansion night. They played Toronto, and they lost to Toronto with a minute to go on a shorthanded goal by one of the Maple Leafs. So Kansas City's competitive in Strat.
Yes, they are.
Kind of.
But it's curious the way that Strat carded that team because, especially on the inside and on the inside shot for Brian Trottier and Clark Gillies and Bill Harris, there's loose pucks on like a 6 or an 8 roll.
Oh wow!
And so you think you got the chance, and you look up and okay, we're in, we roll, lose to anybody, puck wide.
Yeah. Yeah, Strat is fun.
And have I told you how much I hate Billy Smith?
Yeah, he can be.
The thing about Billy Smith was that his attitude towards the regular season didn't give a couple of poops. Okay, to quote Al Red Sox fan, he didn't give a couple of poops about the regular season. Yeah. He somehow could turn it on come Stanley Cup playoff time, but the regular season was who cares?
Yeah.
However, we card based on the regular season, and so
no.
What else have I been playing?
I think I did a Strat stream, the homebrew cards for the 72 Summit Series.
You did?
Yeah, Canada USSR. Yeah, I did play some Strat hockey this week. It was a homebrew set of cards. I don't know where I got it on the internet, but it was a fun game. I think it was a 7-6 final USSR. Boy, it was a nutty game.
Ken Dryden's going to be taken to his room and not giving anything.
They went back and forth. Phil Esposito had a hat trick. That was a fun. Strat hockey is fun too.
So that's been pretty much it as far as the sports games go. Oh, Action PC Football. We did the virtual unboxing for that Wednesday night, and some interesting new features.
Yeah,
that you can go and watch the video. And our buddy L did a first game, and then I'm going to do one over the weekend.
Okay. We could probably talk a little bit more on that when we get to the main segment, if you want, about that. The Action PC Football, the new version.
That's pretty much what I've been playing.
Nice. All right, so what do you think? Should we get the main topic?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Now, I know a lot of people work with computers and spreadsheets all day, and the thought of getting your replay enjoyment on a computer may not be what you want after a long day of report typing or grant writing or whatever it is that you do. For some of us, it really is the only way that we can play. And for others, does the games kind of cheat and to get the results it wants to get as opposed to the completely random nature of cards and dice. But computer gaming in general, I think can give you the best of whatever experience that you want. We've done an entire show on sports management games. But as far as I show off the Action PC line of games at least 2 or 3 times a week, if not more. And to me, they play like, although there's no dice there, it is a closed engine. And we've done a show on open versus closed engine, that it plays to me like you are reaching over and flipping that fast action card and reading the result, and then you're reacting to the result, and sometimes you're making the decision, and Sometimes you're just watching the play ride. It's kind of, to me, a cross between the Strat way of playing and the Apple way of playing, I guess, for lack of a better word. And with the release of Action PC Football 2021, I thought would be a good time to actually talk about that. And also, we want to know what your opinion is of some of this stuff. We know that some of you prefer the traditional cards and dice, and the pros and cons of it all. There's lots of pros and cons. Now, the show is going, talking from console to pure sim. That's what how the digital dice was developed. But from Richard Hanna's games that we've talked about to Dave Cook's games that we've talked about, even Bill Salm's games, they do their best to emulate. A lot of them do a pure cards and dice experience.
Yeah, what I enjoy out of them is there's a good variety out there. Okay, so you have the games that are cards and dice ports, let's say, where it makes you feel like you're playing cards and dice. And I say, like the Replay Basketball that I play.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a pure cards and dice port, and I feel like I'm playing cards and dice, except the computer does the heavy lifting for me. What is great about it is you can put in your own dice roll, so you can feel like you're still rolling dice and being part of it, but you don't have to change the lines. It's all done. You don't got to move cards around. You don't got to flip anything. The computer handles
baseball is good with that too.
Yeah, the computer program handles a lot of the heavy lifting for you. There's other times, like I say, like I like to play an action PC game and not have to roll dice and just kind of enjoy the experience of a closed engine as well. So it does both. Now there's times, like I say, you don't have the intimacy of cards and dice, obviously, when you're on a computer. That's
actually a very good word for that.
And when I'm playing on the table, it takes me forever to play on the table, but I'm into it. I'm rolling the dice, I'm touching the dice, I'm recording the results, I'm looking in the rule book to make sure I'm playing right. Nothing is done for you. It's all you. And there's a sense of satisfaction when you learn a game. And we talked about that a little bit when I was playing the Apple hockey, how, boy, I getting pretty good at it, and I'm not an expert. I still make mistakes, but I feel like I've kind of conquered it, so to speak, is I've learned how to play new games. Same with the Solitaire Pro Football. I feel like I've conquered it because I've learned it. And I'm not just sitting back letting the computer do it for me, So there is some kind of a satisfaction of learning a game.
Imagination, because it can be whatever it is that you want.
It's almost like the cards and dice are reading a book, and the computer sims are watching a movie to a certain degree.
But on the other hand, I think the computer sims have gotten better about having that book-like experience.
Yeah.
To be unobtrusive and let you play the game. I think one of the strengths of the Action PC line of games, any one of them that you play, is that I feel like at the end of the game that I had an impact on who won.
Yeah.
That a call I made or a sub I made or a mismatch I might have taken advantage of was the reason why that particular team won.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you can have there's games that you can just kind of sit and watch, like coaching in Franchise Hockey Manager. I think that pretty much is a movie experience. A lot of the way that I play OOTP in fictional. Set up the lineups and the computer plays it and then it spits it back out and I read about what happened. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever because there's other elements to that. But, I feel like the games that I play computer-wise that I have enough of a hand in the game that it kind of gives me the best of both worlds. The stat keeping, which I think is a big thing for computers, and the stats that all these games keep. It really does. If
that's a good point. Yeah, you don't have to manually keep any stats in a computer game.
There's no stats, and it plays every other. Most games play every other game. So if you're focused on a single team replay, you try that with the Bruins, or if you want a Patriots replay or whatever, computer plays the rest of it. It plays it in record time. The other thing that you can do with that is I know that I've set seasons where I just make 10 copies of a season and ran the replays. And it's about 15, 20 minutes per replay, and then compare the stats and the results, and you can kind of see just what it varies. I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want with them, but yeah, the stat keeping being there.
I find too that sometimes at night, or even in the morning, if I'm having my decaf coffee is all I can have now. But if I have my decaf coffee in the morning, or even at night, the wife goes to bed, dog goes to bed, it's quiet. I sometimes don't want to set up a full cards and dice experience, so I can turn on the computer, kick up my feet, sip my coffee, and play a game with the mouse. And it's all set up. So
it can be set up in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, you click on the game, you open what I want to play, do this, done. There
are times I look through my library of Roberto Schiavini stuff, because I always mean to play more of that. I never do, and go and kind of get lost into, well, what is it do I want to do? Or how much time do I actually have to play something? And roster card baseball is a good example of a card and dice game I can play on the computer. And then I got to open up the Excel so I can have the fast action cards, because that's how I do some of the functions with it. And then have my team sheet in Word so I can go back and forth. Again, set up on the computer is much easier. Doesn't you get using. Yeah, I like the analogy about reading the book and watching the movie.
Yeah, because when you read the book, it's all in your head, and when you watch the movie, it's you see what the actors look like, you see the color of the car, you see what the house looks like, So cards and dice, when you're playing, you visualize everything happens in the computer sim. Even the stuff with an X's and O's chalkboard, you kind of see what happens. I know like replay baseball, you just the Action PC, you see where the ball's hit, and you see the little icons. OOTP has a little bit more, intuitive graphics to it to see the ball players running around a little bit more. But for the most part, when your cards and dice, you're looking at a table. You're looking at a playing card, Right. So you got to visualize in your head what happens, Whereas, again, on the computer, you have some kind of a visual stimulant. But again, I like to, at night, if I'm lazy, or in the morning, if I'm just waking up, I like to just put up my feet and play on the computer. And what I like is I can play a game like Action PC Hockey and enjoy that for what it is. Or I can put in, like I say, a replay or a strat, which is more cards and dice. And let me tell you, I played so much strat hockey on the PC that has helped me play cards and dice strat, because I read all the card results, and I read what's happening, and I see like how to get from A to B to C. And so when I play cards and dice, and I hadn't played the strat cards and dice for a long time until I played that Summit series the other night, it was like, wow, that the computer game has really helped me learn how to play this game.
And for people like me with physical issues, it really is the only way I can play those games.
Yeah. So
I don't have the floor space to put piles and piles of cards out and things like Ball Roller to roll dice, or I let the computer do that. Or you want a good challenge against a good AI. The AI and the Action PC series of games is very credible.
Yeah. And I like that a lot of these games here too, the computer games, allow you to put in your own graphics, so you can put in the actual team logos.
Oh goodness, the mods! Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the mods are really fun too. So I mean, instead of sitting here having to print out things and put them on your table, and I have my helmets, my baseball helmets, my football helmets, and my hockey rinks that I print out to add to the immersion. And we've talked about immersion before, but on the computer you can do that too. You just drop in a logo, there you go. You want a fictional logo? I remember I've created a couple of hockey rinks and football fields with Digital to Dice logo on, and send them over to you, and you sometimes use them in your games.
Yeah.
And so you really can get creative with the mods, and really kind of make it your own little game there. With it, you change the colors and the whole bit, whatever you want to do. So there's a lot of fun things like that you can do in the computer games as well. So I like the variety of the strict cards and dice ports versus the other stuff, like Action PC and a few other of those games that are not.
Also play alternate reality in Action PC, where it just kind of jumbles up the ratings, and if you're looking for more of a fictional type experience in a replay type game, I've never done it, but it's there. The other thing, the main complaint I hear outside of, if you're working on the computer all day, the last thing you want to do is go home after the wife and kids go to bed is sit there on the computer for 2 more hours, is that the games jimmy their own results to try to make things as close to perceived reality as there. And let me tell you something. I've played enough action PC to tell you firsthand that I've never run into an artificial limit on anything. When I played 75, 76, it was my first full season hockey replay ever, using Action PC. Brian Trottier, who's now become my favorite player of all time because of that, because he speaks of himself in the third person like Ricky Henderson, and B, he just happened to, just came of age just before Gretzky.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever got the credit he deserved. It was a good two-way player. His rookie year, he had 95 points in real life, which, again, for the mid-70s and being all of 18 years old, that's a tremendous number. In my replay, he had 135 points.
That's
so
nuts.
There was
yeah.
no.
That's
and
nuts.
so, so to me, the game does not throttle. It does not try to give you the results that it thinks it should. It really does treat it like the computer doesn't care.
Yeah, and even the dice rolls is I've seen a lot of people that have done test results and they've rolled dice and they kept track of it. And they said, in my test, the dice rolls were pretty comparable to anyone rolling the dice. There was no.
It's frustrating when you're playing in strat and you get the goal or the goalie's split. Not even a goalie ring with
6, 7, 9, and 10 are goals, and you roll the 8 on the Bobby Orr card.
Save and a rebound, or you get the goal on a 1 through 12, and you roll off, and the random number generates a 14.
It does. It does feel like sometimes it purposely does something. It really does.
But same thing. It would happen on the tabletop. You roll the 20-sider. Oh, did it fall off the table? No, it says 14, saving a face-off. It fell off the table. No, it's there.
Well, Rolf Bernershka in Solitaire Pro Football, I think he was a 1 to 46 or a 1 to 48 on extra points.
Out of 50.
Out of 50. And I flipped to 50, and he missed the extra point. Again, it didn't matter in the game because they were crushing Cincinnati. But the idea was I flipped to 50, which is like rolling a 20 on a 1 to 19. I rolled a 50 on a 1 to 48 or whatever it was. And so that can happen. But it does feel like when it happens in the computer, for some reason, if I flipped that 50.
It's got to be the computer's fault.
Yeah, I flipped that 50 on my own. But if I had flipped it on the computer, I would have thought the computer was cheating.
Right.
And
so, yeah. And again, there are good things and the bad things. The stat keeping, I think, for strat, I don't play their AI. I play against myself. But again, the AI in most games is good, and if you're nice to a developer about certain things, they will, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, if you know what I mean. And again, I think people kind of get caught in the trap of we're looking for the perfect game. Well, the perfect game for me is not. It's kind of like cards and dice. What works for me isn't going to work for Dave.
Yeah, I like that the Pro Strategy football game that Al plays a lot on his channel there. And
graphically, it's great.
Graphically, it's great. It looks like the old Tecmo Bowl and Nintendo whatever it is. But so the players are great. But again, there was a play the other day that I was watching Al play, and the guy threw the pass, and here's the replay, and the ball went up for a long pass, and like 6 or 7 guys surrounded the receiver. And that's not what really happened on the play, but that's what the game kind of threw at you on the replay. The guy still caught the pass, but it was still funny that he caught the pass. He's surrounded by six defenders, which would never happen. But it just, so you enjoy it for what it is. That's a fun game. It's a simple game to play. It can be complex at times if you want it to be, but that's a fun game for a computer game too, which is it's not an open engine. And you sit back and you watch it play out like Action PC, but you get some little bit better graphics, and it's a very enjoyable game. And some people have had their complaints with it, like they have with every game. But I play it and I just enjoy it, and for what it is.
There is no such thing as the perfect game.
Yeah,
I think with with horsepower on computers continuing to increase and the amount of data that can be crunched fast, we're going to continue to get this kind of marriage of good graphic engine, like OOTP. I think OOTP, when we had Rich on last week, it was 3 years ago that it was still pawns on a board.
Right.
In a generic ballpark. And now we have multiple camera angles in the major league ballparks to do that.
And we talked to him about the hockey chalkboard.
Right. And that's a work in progress.
And he said that, that was a big deal getting the hockey chalkboard. It's obviously not where they want it to be, but he said, look where baseball was a few years ago and where they are now.
But I could see in 3 or 4 years that being, rudimentary 3D graphics.
Yeah.
And maybe if there's some money involved with either ESPN or Turner with the new hockey deal, do you get the voice of like a Linda Cohen or an Ernie Johnson or a Charles Barkley? That terrible penalty. That's a terrible penalty. Do you kind of get that immersion like you would if you bought a console game, but in a game that you fully control and is stats driven and not microtransactions. That's what I'm looking for. I think it's coming. One of the new features in Action PC Football is he's come as close as he can to a full screen chalkboard for the football fields, and they're compatible with the fields that you already have in your library.
Yeah, that's great.
So, that's coming, and so I can see that coming now in the basketball. And so when you call your play, it kind of clears the way, and you can see the play set up fully on your screen. Or especially if you play, a lot of gamers, have the big screen TVs, the 37, the 60. Imagine that popping up on your screen.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work, though. I remember when we talked to Carrie Batts from Pro Strategy Football, that the play is run, and then the program draws the play.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that is the case with every game, all these games. I'm sure it's the case for OOTP, and that because it's easy to sit there and roll the virtual dice that you can't see and go ground ball, shortstop A, or double 6-4-3, and then the computer does the six, shows however 6-4-3 or the interception or what have you. And so as technology gets better and processing power gets better, there's going to be more and more of that.
Yeah. Now, speaking about that technology changing a whole bit, how do you feel about games that every year put out a new version versus games that really haven't had a major, any kind of update in several years?
Well, shall we just address the elephant in the room about the certain game company in Long Island that forces you to buy a new game every year if you want to play certain seasons?
That's
ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous because let's face it, most of us who are playing, you're young, you're a younger part of the community, and you've got 4 years on me. So we're both computer savvy people, and so if you wanted to get real technical on that, you would just lose your older part of your playing base. But no, don't release something and say the only reason. I can understand why Dave Cook did it this year for football because of the way that COVID handled rosters, and more players were on active rosters in the NFL, and it was a database issue. I think the database was there. You could only have 75 players in football, and I'm sure some teams. Was it the 1 week that Denver didn't have any active quarterbacks?
Oh yeah.
Something like that. And so I can see where that was the case. But certain companies that force you to do that's ridiculous. And if you want the card image in the game, it's $60 every year because it's not one of those things I buy the card image once and I get it every year. I mean, that just seems kind of silly. I don't know, and I wonder if some game designers feel like that they're pressured to do that every year. I mean, obviously, we all want to see new bells and whistles. I think we're all accustomed to that. However, there are the Richard Hanna style games. There hasn't been there are patches to games such as All-Star Golf. And usually there's a new program patch for when something new is released in like time travel tennis to make it compatible or something else they figured out. But you're not buying the base game over again. You're getting the patch and the new work.
Yeah.
And the new data file.
Yeah,
and
so do we need a new version every year? You know, like in Madden, remember Madden, the old joke was it's a $60 roster update because you would get the same game, a couple bells and whistles, but you get the new rosters, all for $60. And some people would say, I'd rather just pay $20 for the roster than to pay $60 if I'm not really going to get any big changes. Like I say, 2nd and 10, I just purchased that a few months ago, and you said that really hasn't been updated.
It's been years.
Yeah, and that still plays fine, and it's pretty nice, but it'd be nice to see...
The game needs a fresh coat of paint.
It'd be nice to see what they would do with it. I mean, I like it the way it is, but I'm interested to see, like I said, with the technology and the computers and the horsepower you were talking about earlier, what that would do with some new technology.
You know, that's a good question, because... we want to see something new. If there's major innovations to a cards and dice game, you know, I mean, that's always controversial. When Strat introduced the closer rule, I mean, there's some things you can't avoid. If the real sport says you can't block the plate, you're starting, you know, we're going to do 7-inning doubleheaders. Yes, you kind of have to adapt to that. And the great thing is that you can ignore all that too. You want 9-inning doubleheaders and play from last 2020 baseball. Hey, it's your game. Do what you want. But when new boards are introduced, APBA's introduced new boards over the year, revise the boards over the years, and there's always going to be people who grumble over that. But year in and year out, you know, unless the card stock gets thinner or it's printed on an inkjet and it runs, or people really don't care. They just want to be able to do what they want to do and go forward. I think those of us who are primarily computer gamers are a little bit more fussy in what we want. And so you're kind of darned if you do and darned if you don't release it. You want to know that the game is being worked on. You don't want to be putting money into something that's abandonware by any stretch of the imagination. But there are times you kind of wonder, going,
yeah, there's been a couple of games that
you know, and again, when you're relying on sales of games, because let's face it, even the computer games, those are mom and pop operations or pop and son operations in one case, or farming out to have someone else do it. When you're dependent on sales to keep you busy, there is no real right answer to that. Once every other year.
Well, like, there's some games that if they have a new release every year, I usually get, and there's others that I have to just sit back and say, well, what were the changes over last year to see if it's worth for me to pick up. And again, it comes down to how much I actually play a game too. You know, if I play a game a lot, then even small changes I'm going to really like. And if I don't play it much, then I look at that and say, well, I really only play that a couple of times a year, so this change is not enough for me to buy the new version. But again, you know, like you said, you don't want to buy a game that's 5 years old that has been updated, because 5 years is a lifetime in computer technology.
It's a lifetime with this technology.
And I'm still amazed at some of these games that you can sim an entire game or an entire season or whatever it is and get full stats in a blink of an eye. I mean, you know, like the pro strategy football there, you can sim the day of the season of the and you have everything, and it has all the stats, like all the play-by-play. It's like, you know, even in the strat hockey, sim the game, boom, and you can go in and see everything, play-by-play, by card by card by card. It's like, holy crap, this game will take me 45 minutes to play, and in half a second, it just simmed the game.
If you set up a small enough league in an OTP, like a 16-team league, no minor leagues, okay? You know, once you start adding things, it becomes more and more complex. Set the settings to the right things. I've literally simmed 60 years of fictional baseball over the course of 12 hours and had details of every pitch thrown in that league's history.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In an HTML file.
Yeah, It is nuts what these computer games can do with the computers today. So that's why it's like, so I guess it's a juggling act. And let's just throw this out to the audience. I mean, when it comes down to games that are updated every year, is that important to you, even if it's small changes? Or, do you favor, I'd rather buy a game once every 4 or 5 years with big updates, than to pick one up each year with smaller updates. So again, where does the audience stand on this?
Right.
Let us know your thoughts on computer games. What you look for, what gets you to buy a new version, what would get you to buy a new version, what you expect out of a new version, and are you okay with a game that hasn't been updated in a long time if it still stands the test of time and you're fine with it?
There are whole sites for abandonware and you can go back and play Lemonade Stand on a virtual Apple II emulator.
Yeah.
It's great. Those thunderstorms look great in color. It's not something I had in 1985, but now, the point being, and, what if you're kind of on the fence about computers and, what don't you like and what would you like to see in a computer game? We've talked about this before, being the golden age of sports gaming, and that certainly is the case in computers.
Yep. So I like I say, I like the variety we have right now, where I can play a cards and dice sport if I wanted to, or I can play a closed engine or anything like that. And I have the option of some games of buying every year or not. In other games that that haven't been updated in years, I still bought and I still enjoy. So I do. It's all about options, and it's all about what your preference is. And in some games I play a heck of a lot more than others, and you might reverse and play the games that I don't more than me or whatever. So what are your comments on this, listeners? What are your comments on computer games and the whole bit? Anything we've talked about? So should we wrap this up?
Absolutely.
This has been episode 86, the Stanley Morgan episode.
The Hines Ward episode
of the Digital to Dice podcast. Ways to get a hold of us. DigitalToDice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE. 978-751-3423 is our text line. DigitalToDice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, which we're up over 700 now.
Oh, we passed 715. We passed Babe Ruth this morning.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Facebook.com/groups/Digital to Dice. Get over there and join in on the discussion. I'm Dave.
I'm Ron.
We'll catch you next time on Digital to Dice.
Bye-bye. Don't run over that garbage can.
Oh, it's still rattling around out there.